Now, fortunately, we had more than one opportunity to get the Hope probe into space. Here's more information about that launch window.
We've heard a lot of information, and what catches the eye, I have to say, is the fact that this project was estimated and it required 10 years to be finished, but it finished at 6. Yet, it is really insured. And we're not talking any regular insurance policy here. We're talking about a fault-safe insurance policy in case a communication happened. We know that there is a communication delay between 13 and 26 minutes when it comes to communication. So, and quantity were both maintained in this project in merely 6 years. How do you...
Well, you know, again, I've only been part of this project since about February 14th when I joined the agency. And, you know, I'd heard a lot about the project, you know, every time I pass the Mohammed bin Rashid Space Centre, you know, you see it there. My kids had always asked about it. And, you know, once I joined the UAE Space Agency and, you know, realized like, okay, well, we're going to be part of this project now. So it's, you know, it's exciting. I mean, the teams have been coming back and forth from the US. You know, the achievement of actually getting that done within the 6 years is phenomenal. I mean, it's just look at where we are as the UAE, you know, as the space sector. We only started this, you know, ESPAñOL, I guess, I mean, really started, I would say, with, you know, our great father, Sheikh, it was Sheikh Rashid and Sheikh, sorry, Sheikh Zayed Nahyan.
Yes.
He was the one who really had that dream, and you know, he called in, and the team from the Apollo mission 17 actually came to the UAE. I believe it was in 1976.
Yes.
So even at that time, you know, there was always the questions: why Mars, go to space? What's the big deal about that? And you know, from that time, the seed was planted, and you know, we started off with a company called E-ISPAñOL. That was the first, you know, satellite communications company that came up. And then you had Yasat that came through after that. Then you had the establishment of the Emirates Advanced Institute for Science Technology came up. And that was then taken in when Mohammed bin Rashid Space Centre was set up in 2006, I believe.
Yes.
You know, the UAE Space Agency started in 2014, so 3 days ago we celebrated our 6th anniversary.
Wow.
And you know, to think that, okay, 6 years after that, where there wasn't really this international collaboration like we have today, you know. It was companies doing their own thing in isolation. Space policy, there was no space strategy, there was no space law. And you know, that Hazza al-Mansouri and you know, that they went to the International Space Station last year, you know.
Yeah.
All of this has been put together as part of the space sector, the 2030 National Space Strategy. So all of the things that you're seeing today is part of that strategy, you know, and the space law that has come up as well. So all of the document, and it's a document that the team have spent, years on, starting off with the policy, the strategy, and now we have the UAE space law that was actually just launched in December last year. To have that already, and the space law is so forward-thinking, the strategy is so forward-thinking. We have other countries now coming back to us, and I would even go as that the US is even now looking at updating their space laws and policies, and they're coming back to us, asking us, what is it that you guys did? What have you added, and how can we work together? So it's not us anymore, taking what's out there, but we have adopted it, and we've thought about the future developments, and this is where we stand now. We're recognized internationally. And
one of the things that I'm most fascinated by and impressed by in many ways is the fact that all of this data, all of this research from the probe when it's orbiting Mars will be sent back, and it's going to be, obviously it needs to be validated first, but then it's going to be shared online. It's going to be available to the entire world, whoever's interested, from scientists to the general public. Complete sort of open policy, open door policy to the world. It's saying get involved in our research, and that's very sort of original and quite forward thinking, I think.
And I think that's the thing, I'm sure you've heard before from her excellence.
Bueno, para los que se sumaron recién o hace poco y de repente no estaban al tanto del tema y el lanzamiento de hoy es de un cohete japonés hecho por Mitsubishi Industries, el grupo Mitsubishi. Tiene mucha experiencia en este tema y es un cohete que está muy probado. Tiene una primera etapa y 2 boosters para el despegue. La misión es a Marte. Van a llevar una sonda que se llama Hope, que está totalmente diseñada por los Emiratos Árabes Unidos. Es la primera vez que los Emiratos tienen un diseño propio y un programa espacial que comenzó hace solo 6 años. Y van a demorar, se están aprovechando la conjunción Marte y Tierra, es un momento en que la Tierra y Marte, que están rotando alrededor del Sol, van a quedar con la menor distancia entre sí para poder lanzar y hacer que este viaje sea lo más corto posible, que van a ser 7 meses en realidad. Y esa sonda va a girar alrededor de Marte por un tiempo y lo que va a hacer es una exploración de la atmósfera. Lleva 3 instrumentos desarrollados también por los Emiratos Árabes, que va a estudiar el clima y la atmósfera de la composición del planeta Marte como nunca antes se ha hecho. Estamos a 27 minutos del lanzamiento. Aparentemente está todo con luz verde como para que el lanzamiento se efectúe.
Over 100 questions asked and answered. I make sure I'm a part of these because I get so inspired by the questions and by the community and by everybody being involved in this, and that really just drives everybody forward, with everything that we have.
We're going to get back to that, and we'll have more for you ahead. It's going to be a long, beautiful night, of course. And we're going to go with Professor Bruce Jakosky. He has been involved in more than half lunar and solar missions over the decades, starting with the Viking Mars landers of the 1970s, and is the principal investigator for the MAVEN orbiter, which is currently gathering data from the Red Planet. He joins us live from Colorado. Being with us.
Hi, my pleasure to be here.
Thank you very much. Now, Professor, the UAE and the University of Colorado worked together to make the Emirates Mars mission happen. How are you feeling with the launch less than...
My heart is in my stomach. This is the single biggest opportunity to have a problem.
Este profesor está en la Universidad de Colorado que ha trabajado muchísimo. Son quienes han liderado la misión de los Emiratos Árabes, pero han contratado a estos científicos y a la Universidad de Colorado para desarrollar esta sonda en conjunto y hacer la transferencia de tecnología para los Emiratos. Es de lo que están hablando, ¿no?
So with the X-IIA instrument, will be dust and clouds in the lower atmosphere. emitters will be looking at temperature and water and clouds in the lower atmosphere, and emitters will be looking at the upper atmosphere. By looking at them both at the same time, we can see how they couple together.
Professor, there are a number of active probes currently orbiting Mars. What could the Hope Probe's mission tell us that we don't already know?
It was designed in order to answer questions that have been raised by previous missions. So it's the next set of measurements, the next set of observations. Our goal is to understand how the atmosphere works today and how the atmosphere has evolved through time. By looking at what's going on today, we can see what has happened in the past and infer how much gas has been lost to space and how the climate varies and has varied.
In terms of that research, how could it actually help us here on Earth? What are the benefits of this research that we can put into practice here? What can we learn from it?
That's a very difficult question. If we wanted to learn more about the Earth's atmosphere, we studied the Earth's atmosphere. Looking at Mars, we understand how atmospheres in general work, and that helps us understand the potential for life on Mars and the potential for planets around other solar systems.
Professor, it is said that the red planet and our blue planet are quite very similar. Now, if they would really have exclamation marks on top of them. But can you tell us in what points are they similar or alike?
Bueno, están hablando ahora del tema del planeta Tierra y Marte. ¿Cuáles son las similitudes que hay entre los dos planetas?
We see clouds in the atmosphere, dust storms in the atmosphere, weather. And on the ground, we see volcanoes, polar caps, river channels, things that look very familiar to us. So there's clearly been a lot of commonality between the two planets, yet they're very different. The Mars atmosphere is about 0.5% as thick as the Earth's atmosphere.
Pablo dice que está...
It's far distant, so it's
Pablo dice en sus comentarios que está más perdido que cebolla en ensalada de frutas. Me encanta tu comentario. Estuve tratando de explicar un poco de qué se trata esto. Contame en qué más podemos aclararlo, ¿no? O no sé si escuchaste lo último que estuve diciendo.
What are the differences between them? And would you say that one is actually more important than the other?
Well, of course, studying the atmosphere is the most important part. Really, though, we need to study all the different components of the Mars environmental system in order to understand it. The atmosphere connects to the upper atmosphere, it connects to the polar caps and the surface. By studying each piece of the surface with a rover and using remote sensing to study the global behavior of the surface atmosphere, we can see how they couple together.
Professor, so by the next year or by the next couple of years, humanity will be informed more than ever about the geology, geography, and ecology of the red planet. How long do you think it could take before there is a colony on Mars? Do you think humans can be the first Martians?
We can do that. The current plan would have, depending on who you listen to, would have humans on Mars either in this decade or the next decade. And once we have humans there, it's not a big step to have permanent participation, permanent habitation.
Está hablando le preguntaron en cuánto tiempo estima que haya humanos en Marte, ¿no? En alguna misión.
Time of the people watching this.
Yusuf was explaining in your introduction how the focus of the missions, or rather how you've been involved in missions since the 1970s. Have you seen a change in the focus of the missions and the sort of the targeting of the information that they're trying to discover?
When we first started sending spacecraft to Mars, really in the 1960s and 70s, it was the first look at the red planet. We didn't know what to expect, we didn't know what to see, and everything we saw was brand new. As we learned a little bit more, we were able to ask very specific questions about how the surface has evolved, how the atmosphere has evolved, and between them. And each mission we send now is designed to address a different set of questions. One of the things that I've noticed over the decades is we're making new measurements, we're making them in a new way, and it's as if we're seeing the planet for the first time. Every mission has made fundamental discoveries that tell us something us. I have every expectation that
Sí, Gladys Labraña nos comenta que estar sentado sobre el petróleo te da el dinero para impulsar un programa espacial. Sí, es muy cierto. Pero hay otro tema que es mucho más importante y más interesante. Están estableciendo carreras universitarias, científicas, y la idea de esto no es poner la sonda en Marte, sino interesar a la población de Emiratos Árabes a ir a hacer esas carreras científicas para que en los próximos años el desarrollo científico sea aún mayor. Lo que están haciendo es justamente comenzar un programa de conocimientos, un programa de ciencias, que es mucho más importante como nación para ellos, y ese es el fundamento de esto, que el mandar la sonda a Marte, ¿no?
I think that the questions about life are most likely to be answered when we can go to collect samples, bring them back to Earth, and study in laboratories here. And that is part of NASA's and ESA's plans right now.
Professor Bruce Jakosky, thank you so much for joining us.
Bueno, estaba diciendo que el profesor que parte de los planes que tiene NASA, por ejemplo, es que son los próximos pasos, es conseguir traer muestras de Marte aquí a la Tierra para poder analizarlas.
Absolutely, that's the key message. Thank you so much, Professor.
Thank you very much.
Okay, now launched at the start of this month by the UAE government, registration for the Arab Space Pioneers program has now closed after drawing an incredible 37,000 applications in just 2 weeks. Katie Jensen has more.
Bueno, estamos viendo una animación de cómo va a ser la sonda.
Everyone, my name is Yusuf, and this is Ray, and we have, of course, Fahad Alam. Now we're going to move to a series, a network of correspondents, as we continue the countdown to launch. Let's check in with Faraz Javed at the Mohammed bin Rashid Space Centre. Faraz.
Yusuf, the atmosphere over here is absolutely electric. As you can see right behind me, everyone is glued to the big screen where you can see the mission control at the Mohammed bin Rashid Space Centre. And of course, we've got millions of eyes, whether it's watching through our television network or through a live broadcast, whether it's the US, UK, Singapore, you name it, people are watching this historical moment. One of the exciting thing about this probe is the design. Now, more than 150 Emirati researchers and scientists have been part of this since inception 6 years ago, with a 735 million dirhams budget. Now, just like everything the UAE does, which is unique, the design for this probe is no different. Now, I was speaking to the senior director of the engineering department here at the Mohammed bin Rashid Space Centre, Amr Al-Saig, and he was telling me that most of the elements of this probe were actually fabricated here in the UAE. About is the installation of a plate that has the signatures of leadership. And this, of course, will be acting as a beacon of hope for humanity in outer space.
Well, it's quite important to showcase the leadership in this program as we received the commandment from our leaders, His Highness Sheikh Khalifa bin Zayed Al Nahyan and His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum and His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan. So we wanted to include them as they are leading us and guiding us through this challenging, but yet shows the spirit of the UAE in taking this and making the impossible possible. So this is their touch in this mission, symbolized in this plate that was placed on the probe itself, that will, inshallah, travel all these millions of kilometers to reach Mars. And then for the design itself, we have more than 200 new technical designs designed here in the UAE by the UAE scientists and the UAE engineers to be implemented on this Mars mission. After that, during the fabrication, we managed to get more than 66 parts of the mechanical design of this mission, all fabricated here by the UAE industry. And then for the actual mission there in space, we already started to look at the science of it, and we have more than 51 scientific paper published already on this mission and the future of the atmosphere on Mars. So all of this
tienen 50 científicos de los Emiratos Árabes trabajando en este proyecto, ¿no? En solo 6 años han conseguido desarrollar eso es lo que está hablando.
Now, another aspect of this design for this probe, which makes the probe will actually be going through a harsh climate, an alien climate that for many people like us, we have no clue, right? But here's the thing, that when it makes its 500 million kilometer journey, this probe is going to go through a lot of radiation, a lot of elements that
500 millones de kilómetros es la distancia que tiene que viajar la nave para llegar a Marte. Son 7 meses. Aquí tenemos las dimensiones, 53 metros de altura y 288 toneladas es el peso, ¿no?
Well, it's going in space. Space is a hostile area. It's filled with radiation. The temperature there is quite extreme compared to what we have here on Earth, and it's all being done through equipments that are well designed and manufactured to make sure the cruise of the probe is directed towards Mars correctly. So technology is helping us here to go through this harsh environment in terms of weather, in terms of radiation, and especially for radiation, you are dependent on these electronics on board. So any error in these computers will have a negative impact. But so far, with the design and what we have done so far, we're quite sure that it can withstand successfully this kind of environment. Going to Mars itself, it will require some correction, let's call it, where a slight maneuvers in the orbit direction will make us target the right or the correct Martian insertion orbit. So all of these technologies are supporting us In space, it's you're flying depending only on some sensors. So the quality of this or the quality of the output of these sensors will definitely guide us through the emptiness of the space up toward the time where we reach Mars.
Now, once again, it's just a reminder that this is the UAE's first interplanetary mission. It's an unmanned mission. It will take about reach planet Mars, and of course, once it does, it will orbit the sphere for about 2 years, with a possible extension of another 2 years, depending on how the mission is going. And as you can see right behind me, we are very close to the launch time, and of course, I'll be bringing you all the updates throughout this live coverage. But for now, it's back to you guys, Ray and Yusuf, in the studio.
Yeah, thank you so much for us. I think we're less than 10 minutes away now from launch. You are, of course, watching Dubai One's live coverage of the Emirates Mars mission. At 1:58 a.m. the Hope probe is scheduled to lift off from Japan's Tenaghashima Space Centre and begin a 7-month journey to the red planet, keeping us company as we wait.
Muchas gracias, Grillo.
Fahad Al-Mahiri, Executive Director Agency.
Sí, estamos a menos de 9 minutos del lanzamiento.
In the studio. Let's look at that
sí, Lil, es cierto. Lil pregunta si estaban recogiendo nombres para ser enviados a Marte. Y sí, una de las opciones era ingresar en un sitio de la NASA, poner tu nombre y te emitían un ticket como un ticket de abordaje, un boarding pass. Y eso te iba a colocar tu nombre en una lista que iban a enviar en este último rover que están mandando ahora, el Perseverance.
Going back to
no,
the aspect of the launch,
Giro Street Workout pregunta si alguien le diga si es un cohete tripulado. No, no es tripulado. Es controlado remotamente. De hecho, el cohete una vez que esté en ruta, se va a comunicar 2 veces por semana con el centro de control de Emiratos Árabes durante 6 horas para recibir y enviar comunicaciones. Correcciones de ruta y todo eso, pero lo van a hacer 2 veces por semana durante estos 7 meses que dura la misión, o sea, el viaje a Marte.
If this doesn't happen, then just go do this and go do that. It's not just going to hover. It's going to go. It's going to do its mission. From the way here, from here to Mars, it's going to be traveling at 121,000 kilometers per hour. Yeah. That's unfathomable in any land or anything here on Earth. And, to think that it's going to be traveling 493 million kilometers. If anyone reads up and thinks, okay, well, the closest we are to Mars, we get about 56 million kilometers. And then people think, well, if the closest we are is now at this window and it's 60 million kilometers away, why are we going 493 million kilometers to get to Mars? I like to just use a little sort of
como siempre, cuando estemos próximos al lanzamiento, es muy probable que desaparezca el super chat de la pantalla. Va a seguir habilitado, podemos seguir chateando, pero no va a estar visible, porque eso nos va a permitir ver mejor las imágenes, ¿no? Sí, el lanzamiento, Asiox pregunta si es de Japón. Sí, efectivamente, es de Japón.
That egg will actually take a projectile path. It's not going to be a straight line.
It's not a straight line. Yeah.
So, if we assume we're 3 meters away, that egg is actually going to travel 7 meters to get to you. And we need to calculate it like a football player needs to calculate his shot. So if his teammate is running down the line, I'm not going to kick it at him. I need to kick it to where my mental, judgment of his speed. So exactly the same thing has to happen. When we launch this, and everything is precisely measured out, so it becomes phenomenal, the engineering feat that has to go into making this happen.
It's such a simple yet clear analogy, and totally makes we wanted now to take a look at another VT, because great things have small beginnings, and of course the history of the Hope probe is probably the perfect example of that, Yusuf. Amal Al-Jabri found out a little bit more about the history of the Hope probe for us.
Mars, the red planet that has captured human imagination for centuries. The UAE has had its eye on Mars for years. The country's space industry has been an active one, in fact, since 2009, and has already undertaken enormous feats and has ambitious visions for the future. But it was back in 2014 that the country first announced it's to send a probe to Mars. And today, we're witnessing the launch of the Hope Mars mission, also known as the planned journey to the red planet will be carrying Al-Amal, the Hope probe, which will be the first Mars mission by any Arab or Muslim majority country. Mars orbiter was
Bueno,
built
estamos
by
a 4
Emirati
minutos del
engineers
lanzamiento.
and developed by the Mohammed bin Rashid Space Centre alongside the UAE Space
Glady nos pregunta si
Agency
Emiratos
and
tiene
in
programa
partnership
tripulado. No,
with the
no
Laboratory
tiene.
for Atmospheric and Space Physics at the University of Colorado. Officials say the Hope probe will be the first to provide a complete picture of the Martian atmosphere and its layers when it reaches the red planet's orbit next year. It will help answer key questions about the loss of hydrogen and oxygen gases, which are drawn into space over the span of one Martian year. The spacecraft will collect 2 years' worth of scientific data with an optional 2-year extension that would take the mission into 2025. The UAE's keen interest in space and the push behind the country's first interplanetary scientific mission started at least 5 decades ago. Our journey to space began with the UAE founding father, the late Sheikh Zayed bin Sultan Al Nahyan. In the 70s, he held at least 3 meetings on space, including a memorable gathering in Abu Dhabi. This video recording was taken on February 1976, when the UAE was just 5 years old. Sheikh Zayed is seen meeting with 3 American Apollo 17 astronauts, Gene Cernan, Ronald Evans, and Harrison Schmitt. The meeting gives us an early glimpse of the country's future space ambitions. More than 3 decades would pass before the UAE established its own space agency, having laid the foundation stone for the country's first Emirati astronaut, Hazza al-Mansouri, being sent to the International Space Station. On January 5, 2020, at the Presidential Palace in Abu Dhabi, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, UAE Vice President, Prime Minister and ruler of Dubai, and His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed
Pablo,
Al
sí,
Nahyan,
bueno, que
Crown
eso es
Prince
bueno,
of Abu
sí,
Dhabi,
es bueno
and
para
Deputy
todos.
Supreme Commander of the UAE Armed
Cuanto
Forces,
más gente
signed
tengamos
the
en el
final
canal,
piece
cuanto
of
más
the Hope
nos
probe
ayuden
destined for
y
Mars.
compartan
He also wrote an
nuestra
inspirational
transmisión,
message for the rest of
más,
the Arab
más
world
fuerza nos van a
on
dar
the
para
peace
que el
of the
canal
outer
crezca
casing of the orbiter.
y nos
The two
permita
leaders
continuar
wrote,
con
"The
esta
power of
actividad,
hope
¿no?
shortens the distance
Gracias,
between
gracias a
Earth
todos
and
por estar
sky."
ahí.
Sheikh Mohammed said the UAE's ambitious space program continues to make progress in realizing Zayed's ambition of making the country a leader
Bueno,
in the
estamos a
space
2
sector.
minutos del lanzamiento,
July
¿no?
was finally chosen as the launch date for the Hope probe, as Earth and Mars will be the closest point, and this only happens once every 2 years. Emirates Mars mission officials say with the onset of COVID-19, making its way from the Middle East and onto the launch pad in Japan, ready for liftoff. The orbiter is expected to reach Mars.
Bueno, vamos a ver si podemos
February
tener audio
2021
desde
and begin
el lugar del
studying the
lanzamiento con
Martian
el sonido
atmosphere later the
del
same
cohete,
year.
¿no?
Today, the whole world has turned its attention to the Tenaghashima.
Wistico nos dice saludos de Brasil. No sé si habla portugués. Bom dia, amigo do Brasil. Ah, tudo bom lá?
Reporting for the Mars mission, Amal Al-Jabri.
It is just amazing. This was all a vision. It
Un
was a
minuto al
dream,
lanzamiento.
it was a vision, and now a reality that is minutes away. Less than
2 minutes.
Less than 2 minutes as well. It is no different than you waiting for your grades in high school. You know that you have studied days and night, but when there are moments until you hear your percentage or your GPA, you are nervous. Are you feeling it?
Can you, I mean, for me, I feel for the team, you know. I wish I would have been part of this mental program.
من قائد المهمة إلى جميع الفرق. بدء العد التنازلي في أقل من دقيقة.
Bueno, no tenemos confirmación del conteo. esta es la hora prevista para el lanzamiento, pero no tenemos confirmación de que es el conteo real. Todo parece indicar de que sí, ¿no? Que estamos a 10 segundos del lanzamiento y sí, efectivamente estamos viendo que hay agua lanzada en la base de los motores, así que es muy posible que sea ahora.
بدء التنازل 10 9
Bueno, tenemos ignición, estamos viéndolo en este momento. ¿Sí? Y levantándose en este momento. En este momento, en este preciso momento, está despegando el cohete japonés. Vamos a ver si logramos tener una mejor vista. Todo lo que tenemos, todas las transmisiones que tenemos son, a ver si hay algo en inglés.
The H-IIA flight is on course and the Tanagashima station is tracking the launch vehicle very well.
Bueno, dice que está yendo en curso. Sí, Olga, ¿qué tal? 7 meses es lo que demoran en llegar a Marte.
83, 80, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90.
The SLBs have burned out.
110
SRBA 分離
SRBA separation.
14 15 16 17 18 19.
Bueno, en este momento vemos se separaron los boosters. Los boosters se han separado. La primera etapa tenía 2 impulsores agregados en el costado, que es lo que se ven las 2 columnas esas de humo blanco, ¿no? Esos 2 cohetes boosters que estaban ayudando a la impulsión en la primera etapa son de combustible sólido. Bueno, estamos viendo una hermosa imagen recién vimos de la columna de humo.
第1段エンジンの燃焼は正常、制御系飛行経路も正常です。ロケットは順調に飛行を続けており、現在の高度は約 95km、秒速約 km です。
The combustion in the first stage engine or nominal. The H-IIA flight is on course. Current altitude is about 95 km. Rest is approximately 1.5 km per sec.
Bueno, no logré escuchar lo último que dijo. Están dando los datos de la telemetría. Frank, ¿qué tal? No está tripulado, es remoto. Estamos tratando de conseguir la telemetría aquí, a ver si... Ahí lo tenemos.
فتح الكبسول
when you have the solid rocket boosters, it's a solid propellant, and those are attached to the main first stage. The first stage is liquid nitrogen and liquid oxygen combustion. The SRBs are like, light them, you cannot turn those things off. They will burn for the minute or the 100 seconds they're designed for, and then they drop off. Why things drop off is to...
Bueno, están contando un poco qué fue con el tema de cómo fue el tema de los boosters. Esos dos boosters que son de combustible sólido, una vez que se encienden no hay forma de apagarlos, y bueno, en este caso fueron 100 segundos desde el momento del despegue en que los boosters están dando toda la energía posible para acelerar la nave. Aquí estamos viendo abajo a la derecha una repetición de la última etapa del despegue, ¿no?
Yeah, you saw that, right? Yeah, that was that. So that was the sound barrier, and then soon after it starts going into max, and that's where it's really, the rocket is seeing the most vibrations, and it's the most critical time.
But you've mentioned liquid, the fuel, liquid nitrogen.
Liquid nitrogen and liquid oxygen.
What about hydrogen?
Hydrogen only happens in space. So that's actually on the RCS thrusters, and that's what will control pitch.
Hidrógeno líquido y oxígeno líquido son los combustibles de la primera y la segunda etapa, que es lo que vimos que utilizó en el despegue el motor principal.
For several reasons, but because you know a little bit of Japanese and we're hearing the English commentary and
that is not true. It's the second rocket launch I've ever seen.
No, but you were enjoying it on multiple levels, I know.
Well, there are rare occasions where I can really relate to something that happens before my eyes. For the first time, I don't only have exclamation points over my hand, I actually know a thing or two.
Absolutely.
Can you count down in Arabic?
No, I wish I could.
Well, there you go.
To say, I wish I could. Watching your eyes light up, I think particularly the moment when the boosters fell away, that was a very special moment, because you can see it's like a jigsaw puzzle, kind of as the rocket actually sort of in a controlled way falls apart.
Yeah.
It's like a jigsaw puzzle being put together as it goes into space.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's getting to where we are and with the space technology.
Guille Chaval, ¿qué tal? Guille nos pregunta, vamos a poner el chat primero acá arriba un poco de todo esto, que lo teníamos desaparecido, para poder ver mejor el lanzamiento. Guille, sí, ya salió el espacio huístico. Guille nos pregunta la función que cumple el satélite. Este satélite que van a estar enviando a Marte, los Emiratos Árabes, la función que tiene en realidad es mapear la atmósfera marciana. En 7 meses llega a Marte, están aprovechando la conjunción Tierra-Marte, o sea que están con la mínima distancia entre los dos planetas. Esto pasa solo una vez cada 2 años, entonces ahí el viaje se reduce a 7 meses, y cuando llegue a Marte, la sonda esta va a orbitar el planeta marciano. Tiene 3 sensores diseñados en los Emiratos Árabes para estudiar la atmósfera y la superficie marciana como nunca antes se había hecho, ¿no? O sea, van a ver el clima, cuál es el clima real de Marte a nivel global. Esto va a permitir que futuras misiones puedan tener un conocimiento mucho más científico y cabal de lo que realmente sucede. Y van a estudiar también la composición de la atmósfera y cuáles son los gases que se escapan normalmente del planeta hacia el espacio, ¿no?
You can talk to the world. It's all for humankind. Everything that's happening, you think about it, space today, a lot of people take it for granted. It's like water in your tap. If you don't have satellites in space, you don't have GPS. And if you don't have GPS, you're in trouble in so many different ways. You can't even order your pizza nowadays without that,
You can't find your way here to the studio and be with us on the show.
Luckily you did.
Something comes to mind too, and what is that? Ray, I've lost what was on my
No
mind.
problem. It's a fascinating conversation that we're having with you at the moment, Farhan. And I think, in a way, we're all a little bit dumbstruck because we've just seen one of the most amazing spectacles that we've ever seen. And you were saying about the inclusiveness of space and how much more open it is, understandably, than the military sector. But it is that thing. It's that openness. It's like the greatest show on Earth in a way. Something like that. The rocket taking off, the possibilities of what it will encounter as it travels through space, and obviously the data that it's going to be sending back to Earth. There's something for everybody. It's like the show that sort of exists for everybody on that level.
Mr. Brian there regarding Maven.
Bueno amigos, muchísimas gracias por estar allí, gracias por los comentarios, gracias por la muy buena onda que tienen todos. Y los esperamos aquí en el canal. Acuérdense de suscribirse para próximas transmisiones con las notificaciones, así se enteran de qué es lo próximo que se viene y qué es lo que vamos a transmitir. A veces tenemos tiempo de comunicarlo y está en el chat de comunidad de nuestro canal. A veces las transmisiones, cuando nos enteramos si es sobre la hora, apenas está, lo lanzamos y lo transmitimos al aire como en esto, ¿sí? Un abrazo grande. Disfruten. Chao.
And that's really where the big difference comes in. And also looking at not just the lower, but the upper atmosphere as well. That's where, things are different from the Maven project and this one.
Well, a lot of action going on in Japan, but obviously so many members of the team as well at the Mohammed bin Rashid Space Centre. In a moment, we're going to go and chat to Faraz about what's been happening down there, how they reacted to the launch.
I'm excited to
stay
see that.
tuned for that in a moment's time.
We're going to get to that, of course, because we'd like to know about more reactions bigger than this studio right here. But here's a question. I remember what I lost just now. A lot of people could go on asking, what is next? What's after the Hope probe? And what is after the